Coral reefs are dying at alarming rates, and people's livelihoods are at risk of perishing with them. These vibrant ecosystems contribute more than $400 billion to the global economy each year. And if they disappear, over 300 million people who depend on the reefs are at risk of becoming climate refugees. Fortunately, scientists around the world are working on selective breeding projects to produce more heat-tolerant coral that can be outplanted in the wild to restore the reefs. Initial results are very promising, but scaling up is a challenge because this work is so labor-intensive. Let me explain why. In the lab, corals are grown on small stone plugs like you see in figures 2 and 3 in the slide. In order to track the growth of the coral over time, researchers take photographs and then they digitally trace the outline of each tiny coral at multiple time points across the project. This process takes hundreds of hours. So, if we could train a computer to do this work, it could cut costs, it could increase scalability, and so this is what we set out to do. As part of the Heller Lab, I'm working with collaborators at the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology to determine if computer vision, a type of artificial intelligence, can be used to aid their research. Normally, when we train a computer to detect an object, it requires hundreds of thousands of annotated training images, which simply isn't feasible in this project. So instead, I've employed a process called transfer learning. I started with a model that had been trained on 300,000 annotated images of just common everyday objects. And then I retrained it on a couple hundred images of coral. In figures 4 and 5, you can see an example of one of these annotated images. Each of those blue masks was hand-drawn by a researcher to indicate the location of an individual coral, which the computer uses to learn to differentiate between coral pixels and the rest of the surrounding image. In figure 6, you can see the results of deploying one of these models on the same image. Comparing the blue masks to the computer-generated masks, you can see it's doing a remarkable job. So this tool is on track to yield immediate cost and time savings for our collaborators. But more broadly, it has the potential to increase the scale of coral resilience research at labs around the world, which collectively could tip the scales in favor of saving the coral and the livelihoods of the millions of people who depend on them. Thank you.